Welcome YouTube. I'm getting some videos made today. First of all, I am kicked out of the HOA. I've been kicked out of the HOA for 7 years. During that 7 years, I've had very many letters sent to me, fines, letters. On the day that my key card was canceled 7 years ago, shortly after, I quit going on the HOA website. I kept getting mail from the HOA. Every once in a while I'd go on the website if I had to for the mail. But I got kicked out of the HOA when I was 68 years old. So 68, single, not much of a social life, stay to myself. And I went to a meeting. My reaction, or why I went to the meeting, was about 2 weeks earlier, they put a sign in rocks in at the end of Tract A, taking it out of service for golf carts. It was a reaction to, or a response to my neighbors and me calling the police on my neighbor after my neighbor put two rusted rods in the ground in the middle of the access easement. But I had to call the police, and shortly after the police report went in, a sign went into the end of Tract A, and they put rocks so no golf carts could be driven onto it. That was kind of upsetting to me because about 4 years or 5 years earlier, 2 years earlier, I went to jail on a warrant that I was never served on because I walked on Tract A. I was the first person to walk on to Tract A and use it as an access easement. Prior to that, anybody who walked on there, the people living on each side of Tract A, let them know very matter-of-factly that this isn't a walking easement. You have no business being on this property. So I did due diligence. I went and got plat maps. I went and got town documents. I even had an engineer come out from the town, or I talked to the town councilman. The town councilman got hold of an engineer. He came out and he decertified Tract A. He took it out of service. That was a year before my arrest. A year went by. During that year, I had meetings with people in the town of Buckeye. I had tried to talk to the manager of the HOA. I tried to have feedback and discussions about why Tract A wasn't being, after it had been decertified, how come you haven't turned a shovel? How come you haven't done anything? Okay, well, after a year, and I've told you this in other videos, the manager more or less told me very honestly, we have done nothing. Everything we've told you we've done, we haven't done it. So I walked on Tract A for a week, every morning for a half an hour. I would just walk from one end to the other, and a neighbor in the neighborhood that didn't like that idea of me walking there and thought nobody should be walking there, followed me with a camera for 4 days. On the 5th day, I was arrested for missing a court date. On the 5th day that I walked on the easement, I was arrested for missing a court date from an incident 21 months ago. I was taken to Joe Arpaio's jail for 4 days over the weekend. It was a Friday, morning that I got arrested, I didn't get out of Joe Arpaio's jail in the 4th Avenue jail until Monday, Monday around noon, or Monday morning, Monday early, Monday afternoon. So 4 days I spent in Joe Arpaio's jail on a warrant that I never got served on. Now, 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, that was the January 17th. So January 17th, and this was the 5th, right here. See this? February 5th. About 2 weeks later, a little over 2 weeks later. Now, Charlie Waters, who's going to be the subject of this video, I wanted to start here because this is who Charlie Waters is. Comments from the public. Mr. Charles Waters appeared for Sundance Golf Tournament, reported the Sundance Golf Tournament raised approximately $32,000, which was donated to All Face for a total over the last 3 years of over $70,000. Mr. Waters expressed his gratitude to everyone for all their efforts in making this a success. What made it a success is I got arrested and thrown in jail about 2 weeks earlier. Okay? 2 or 3 weeks earlier, I got thrown in jail and silenced. Okay? There was no more protest. And I was thrown in jail that morning, and they did a little demonstration out here. They kept me in a car for 45 minutes while they got everybody in the neighborhood to see me handcuffed like a gorilla in the back seat of a cop car. All right? Let everybody know this isn't a walking easement. Don't walk here. And this right here, Charles Waters, was the first man to be elected to the board, one of the first people on the board of directors. He's also the treasurer. He's the treasurer of the board of directors of Sundance Active Adult Community. He's the treasurer. Okay? And for him to say $70,000, I've given All Face Charity, the mayor's favorite charity, $70,000 in 3 years. He got some juice. He bought some influence. All right? As far as I'm concerned, that $32,000 that was donated was for my arrest on a warrant that I never got served on. I now have a record. I have a record. All right? I had to go out and get a lawyer who rolled over and played dead. Now, we're going to get out of that. I showed you that. I wanted to introduce you to Charlie. That's who Charlie Waters is. All right? Now, we're going to go through this. First of all, we'll get this up. This is me requesting police records. I had a policeman come out to my house about 2 days after I went to a meeting. And this is a request that I made for the video after the policeman come to my house. The policeman came to my house, a young officer named Officer Morrison, and accused me of harassing Charlie Waters. And so I went and got the tape. So this is a request. We'll get out of this. And we'll go just one at a time. Number one, we'll see what's on this page. Okay, this is when the report was taken, the times and dates. Okay, received by Medina. Medina was the first person to get a telephone call that morning. He got a telephone call from Charlie Waters where Charlie was telling him that I was harassing and causing trouble in meetings and stuff like that. And so this officer, now let's go to the next page. This doesn't have much on it. We'll go to the next one. We'll go to number 2. We'll just take them in order. Number 2. Here, there's not much on that, okay? That's the 2 subjects. Number 3. Okay, here's some text that we can read. I'll open it up and read it. But I went to a meeting after they closed track day. They put a sign in and rocks, and I didn't think much of it. Narrative. Okay. Harassing. Okay. You bear with me. Okay. On 11/8/16, at approximately 10:15 hours, I spoke with Charles Water by phone in regards to a male subject by then named Seward Lasham has been harassing him since 6/3/16. I don't know where he came up with that date, but I hadn't talked to Charlie Waters in a while. Charles is an HOA board member of the Sundance Adult Living. During the board workshops, Seward attends the meetings and disrupted it. He was removed from the workshop in the past, okay? See how they spelled past, okay? Charlie made a false statement right here. He was removed from the workshop in the past by the police. He again attended the workshop on 10/20/16 as well as 11/7/16 and disrupted the workshop by screaming and yelling. I asked Charles if he reported this incident and he said no. He stated no. All right, this is all BS. Charlie Waters has got juice. All right, he was Jackie Meck's campaign manager. All right, about 3 or 4 months before this, he got Jackie Meck elected for the 3rd term. Now, this little statement right here where the guy wrote in the past, all right, it should have been PAST, all right, by police. I've never been removed from a workshop by police. This is defamation of character. This is a false witness. This is saying something to the police and embellishing a story to get the police to move. Charles further stated he had attempted to contact Councilman Eustis and Chief Hall, but he was unable to reach him. When he was able to speak with Chief Hall, he advised Charles to call the non-emergency phone number to report the incident. I advised Charles to call the police directly if he needed any assistance. If it's any emergency situation, then dial 911. Otherwise, dial the non-emergency numbers. Charles stated he understood and would want me to speak with Seward and advise him to leave Charles alone. I informed Charles that I would have the beat officer go by Seward's residence and speak with him regarding his harassing behavior. I further advised Charles to obtain an injunction against harassment against Seward. At this point, Charles stated he would speak with the other board members and get the process going on obtaining an injunction order. Okay? I asked Officer Morrison to drive by Seward's residence and speak with him regarding this matter. Officer Morrison was out with Seward for over 40 minutes explaining to him to leave Charles alone because he was harassing him. According to Officer Morrison, Seward would not listen to him and continued to speak of his gutters and easement. He was not comprehending the situation and would interrupt Officer Morrison. He again asked Seward to leave Charles alone and departed from the area. Refer to Officer Morrison's supplemental report for further details. I then spoke with Charles again by phone and relayed the information. Charles stated he already spoke with the board members and they are going forward in obtaining an injunction against harassment. Okay? I've made complaints to the police. Charles Waters, he called in a complaint to the police. Okay? Officer Ali, the first thing he should have done was send Officer Morrison to Charlie Waters' house and get a statement from Charlie Waters. That should have been the first move. Whenever I call the police for any reason, usually it's golfers, I have altercations, human friction with golfers walking onto my property. And when they walk onto my property, I call the police, and the police have to come out and take a statement from me. They will not move. They will not go to the clubhouse. If I give them the golf cart and the name or the number, if I say the guy's got a red shirt, the other one's got a blue shirt, they're in golf cart, yada, yada, yada. If you go to the clubhouse, you'll see them. That doesn't go anywhere. What I have to do is stand there and talk to a camera that a police has got on him with a microphone on it. And usually the police won't tell me. The police don't tell you that they have a microphone and a camera on you. All right? I happen to know that. And this report where I was yelling and screaming and I didn't comprehend, Officer Morrison showed up with nothing. He had no paperwork. He had no formal complaint. He had nothing from a judge, a court, or anything. He walked onto my property, knocked onto my door, and started accusing me of things that he had no knowledge of. Second-hand knowledge. His first thing should have went to, and I want to talk that police report. When I got the video from the man, this Officer Weber in the police department, and his job is to produce videos. He edits and produces videos that have been taken by the police. When I told him, I said, I was expecting to have Charlie Waters on this video. I came and got this video so I'd have Charlie Waters' statement to the policeman, and it's not here. The policeman never went to Charlie Waters and got a formal statement from him on camera, recorded as to what my actions were. So when I went back and I told this Officer Weber, I says, whenever I make a complaint, I have to go on camera. I have to go on camera with a policeman and tell him what my complaint is and be very specific. And here Charlie Waters gets to call up on the phone and everybody jumps for the mayor's campaign manager. They're not going to send a police car and park it in front of Charlie Waters' house and take a statement from him and make his neighbors see this It isn't going to happen, but they do it to me. I've had so many police cars parked in front of my house from the police department and the HOA. It's unbelievable. Okay, we'll go on to the next one here. That was 3. Let's go what this one is. Now, this is the Officer Morrison's statement. Okay, we'll blow this up. But he made me look like an idiot. He made me look like I was an idiot, okay? On 11/8/16 at approximately 11:30 hours, I proceeded to Twilight Trail in regards to assisting Officer Ali on harassing call. Upon arrival, I was met by Seward Lasham, the other half of the party. Seward was very loud and appeared to be upset I was there. I attempted several times to tell Seward the reason I was there was to tell him Charles Waters did not want to be harassed by him. Seward, in a loud voice, proceeded to talk about civil HOA issues which had nothing to do with why Seward was being talked to. Seward also compared the situation to a movie, Mars Attack, in which I did not see nor from him explaining that the movie know what it had to do with Seward not harassing Charles Waters. Seward was very focused on telling me his story about the issue with the HOA board members. Charles and engineers, rather than trying to... I don't know what that is. It's supposed to be me. Seward and engineers, rather than trying to find a solution, Seward was also told he could run for the board as a member or have residents in the area do the same if he was trying to change things with the HOA. Okay? All these blanks are messing me up because I don't know who's who. Like, was this Seward and engineers rather than trying to find... All right. Like I said, he showed up pointing his finger at me and accusing me of harassing Charlie Waters, and he had no first-hand knowledge. He had no paper in his hand. He had nothing from a court, nothing official. Officer Ali should have sent him to Charlie Waters' house first. But I feel that my opinion is Officer Ali knew that if he sent a policeman to Charlie Waters' house, he probably wouldn't have a job anymore. Okay? He would be seen as harassing Charlie Waters along with me for sending a policeman. Okay? Now, let's see. This is a follow-up call. Now, I guess RP represents Ali. Okay, this was Ali, Medina, Ali. I don't know who was talking here. But Rep advised there has been an ongoing issue with the homeowner where subject curses at him on prior occasions. This homeowner accused the rep of having the city ransom money to have him arrested. I think I've already made my point on that. Okay? When the first letter came out, when that letter came out a year before I got arrested, it's my opinion that Charlie Waters went down and made a big payment to the town of Buckeye. And they left it alone for a year until I started walking on the easement. When I started walking on the easement, They arrested me for missing a court date I knew nothing about that happened 20 months earlier, an incident 21 months earlier. But, like I said, this owner accused the rep of having the city ransom money to have him arrested. Well, I know that $32,000 was to silence me. I thought I was in America. When I bought into Buckeye, I thought I was in America. I feel like Captain America that got shot off his motorcycle in Easy Rider. I thought I was in America, that I could buy a house, live and own out here without being harassed and thrown in jail on a warrant that I was never served on. Try to get that through your head. You just spent 4 days in jail. You're suffering from diarrhea. You got diarrhea while you were in jail. You're in front of a judge 2 days after you get out of jail. You're in front of a judge. You're still suffering from diarrhea or dehydration from being in jail. And when you tell the judge, Your Honor, I had no idea that I had a court date. And when the judge, with all the aplomb, confidence, arrogance in the world, holds up your summons that was supposed to be sent to you for a court date, he holds it up in front of you and says, of course you didn't. Of course you didn't. We never sent it to you. Now I'm standing in front of the American flag in a courtroom where I think I'm in America, and I'm not in America. I'm in Buckeye. I'm in the territory of Buckeye, the reservation of Buckeye, the hole in the wall that's Buckeye. We have ways of doing things out here that will defy imagination. I couldn't believe it. I suffer from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I was thrown in jail on a warrant that I never was served on. It was political. It's because I was walking on the easement. All right? Right here. After he says accused him, rep is not sure if subject has 918 issues. Rep was instructed by Chief Hall to call in and make a report. Okay? 918 issues. You look up 918 issues, it means that I have mental problems. I don't have mental problems. I retired from 2 airlines. I retired from United Airlines. I retired from U.S. Airways. I was an avionics technician. I certified CAT. I certified the Autoland on everything United had and U.S. Air had. Okay? Do you think that the Federal Aviation Administration would issue a license to somebody and let them sign off autopilots, the landing, Autoland for wide-body jets if they had 918 issues? Like I said, Charlie Waters, he's on his own chessboard out here. He has juice politically in the town of Buckeye. All right? Rep is with the HOA Treasury Department. When I think, I'll let you guys figure it out. He's got the money. He's got his hands on the money with the Treasury Department. And what's the last? Rep will have the info on other subject involved, does not have it on file, but will when officers give him a call. All right? This was the first call to Officer Medina. Okay? I'm sure. And Officer Medina made it clear Rep will have the info on the subject involved, does not have it on file, but will when officer gives him a call. Now, Medina is under the impression that Al Lee is going to send somebody out to Charles Waters. That never happened. That never happened. Al Lee didn't send a police car and park it in front of Charlie Waters' house for like a half an hour while Charlie gave a camera and an officer a statement on camera. And the reason they didn't do that, because Charles, if he said something wrong, I could sue him for defamation of character. He's already said something wrong. First of all, he said he's going to have the info. That info to me would be the police had to remove me from a meeting, which they never did. He told them on one of the first phone calls that the police had to remove me from a workshop. That never, ever happened. I called up Caroline. Here's another thing. I called up Caroline right after. Now, all right. The officer leaves. And I go right to the police department. Because I want the tape. I want to see what the officer had on the camera. And I was hoping that when I went and got it, that Charles Waters would be on that camera too, would be on the video, the police video. There was no Charlie Waters. It was just me answering to a ghost. Now, on the 11:20, shortly after, here's what I get in the mail. This is the letter that kicked me out of the HOA. Charlie Waters calls up and gives the policeman a bogus thing about where I had to be taken out, and I'm harassing him, and all these dates that don't jive, okay? He's putting dates in there that don't, I never went to meetings. But, dear Seward Lasham, on November 7th at the board workshop, you became verbally combative with board members. BS. I sit there quietly. Here's what happened in that board meeting. When they put a sign in at the end of track day, about 2 weeks later, they they sent out a letter inviting everybody to a board meeting on November 7th. So, I was wondering, I wanted to find discovery. I was trying to figure out, without ever voting on it or sending out a notice to anybody or a letter to anybody, how did you put a sign in the end of track day and take track day out of service for golf carts and emergency vehicles and pedestrians and things like that without telling anybody? I was going for discovery. I wanted to go to this meeting and find out how did they come up with putting a sign there? Okay? This is not the first occurrence of this nature. The association has previously sent a letter regarding the intention to restrict your access to the association amenities upon reoccurrence of this behavior. In accordance with the association documents, code of conduct policy, and governance staff and members of the community, your amenity access has been restricted for the next 30 days. Further occurrence during this period will lengthen the restricted period. This restricted period got extended now. It's been 7 years. 7 years. And this is another thing where I should have had a hearing. But again, we're in Buckeye. They didn't give me a hearing. I had no hearing. They just removed me on combative. Now, she hasn't substantiated. She wasn't even in the room. That meeting went quiet for 3.5 hours. At about 2 hours, they took a break. And the tribal knowledge out here for all the people that like architectural committee and people who are connected with the HOA, when they go to a meeting, it's understood that at half time when they take a break, only the HOA board members come back. And then they go into executive session. And they have a docket. They've gotten used to having a docket to go over when they go in, when nobody comes back. Well, when I got invited to go to that meeting about a week before, I was going there to find out, how did you come up with putting a sign in, and restricting the access to tract A without telling anybody, without any notice to anybody, without a vote or anything? You just did it. How did that happen? That's why I was there. And I went in late. I've learned to go to a meeting late. Never go to a meeting early. Not if you're classified a dissenter. If you're classified a dissenter, if you go to a meeting early, they're going to surround you with negative people, witnesses, people who will tell you to shut up in a meeting if you open your mouth. It's already happened to me. So I went into the meeting late. I went into the back of the room, and at halftime, I didn't leave because there was nothing in the invitation to this workshop that they were going to go into executive session. And when they all came back and I was the only person there, Caroline made an announcement to them that we can't talk about what we were going to talk about because we're not alone. Since we're not alone, that more or less they understood we couldn't go into executive session. Well, I sit there for the rest of the meeting, and when it busted up, the ladies left. That means that Norma Bell, Nancy Batten, and Caroline Clinton left the room. So there was left Ed Kelly, David Stump, Charlie Waters, and the white-haired gentleman there, forget his name, but he's on the board now. He sent me letters, but anyway, there was no hearing. The Sundance Active Adult, with all the fines they've ever sent me and all the letters they've sent me, they refuse to give me a hearing. They won't give me a hearing because they don't have an answer for why Tract A has been taken out of service. Okay? Tract A is owned by the membership, but only 2 people get to use it, the people living on each side. It was graft. Okay? It was graft 20 years ago. They took it out of service. They set up an entitlement with the people who lived on each side of it. Okay? And they lowered my house. I'm getting into a lot of things that I shouldn't be getting into, but this is what happened. And I ran into Caroline at Walmart one day, and she didn't have a locked door between us. She didn't have a big mahogany desk between us. She was totally what she felt vulnerable to me because I was face to face with her in Walmart. And she made it sound like I attacked her. Again, every time somebody talks to me, and I'm very forward. Like I said, I fixed airplanes for 30 years. I don't like ambiguous language. This is ambiguous right here. This is ambiguous. No detail. No subjugate or substantiating who I talked to, who I was with. It's just we all got together in an executive session and we decided that we don't like having you in our meetings. So we're going to tell everybody that you were out of the line. Get ready for it, HOA people. I'm doing this for you. Anybody who thinks about being in an HOA, and I'm doing it for my membership here at Sundance. Okay? Tract A is out of compliance. It was stolen 20 years ago. And the HOA's policy here is status quo. We're not going to make people give something back because it would disturb the continuity of the neighborhood. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, over here, the people who live on each side of Tract A have an entitlement. They were able to bring their farm with them from the Midwest. They don't understand an urban model. Buckeye doesn't understand an urban model. Buckeye had an urban model show up here 20 years ago, and all that happened was it got raided. Everywhere there's an amenity of an access easement onto a golf course from a neighborhood or a parcel, the two lots on each side of that access easement amenity are usually the biggest lots. Why are they the biggest lots? Because they're burdened with golf carts going by their patio. And what happened when that urban plan got out here 20 years ago, the human factors of graft, fraternity, good old boys club, backroom deals, it all came to fruition when they filled in the tract and they took it out of service. And the people who ended up with the houses on each side of Tract A had a forever entitlement. 3,000 extra square feet of land added to their lots, tax-free, water-free, landscape-free. It was redlining. It was segregation. It was restricting. This was all done 20 years ago, and Tract A isn't the only tract. There was 2 or 3 tracts on the front 9 that were taken out of service. They were taken out of service because the people wanted the bigger lot, and they weren't going to buy unless they got the big lot and they got the access easement taken out of service. We don't have golf carts going by our house back in the Midwest on our farm. We don't want to see it here. So that's been all the problems that I've been having with the HOA, is that I refuse to drink the Kool-Aid over here in Parcel 12 with Tract A. Everybody else is willing to let these 2 people have that tract that belongs to the rest of us all to themselves. The board of directors is being willfully ignorant to the needs of the memberships in Parcel 12. We have to have an emergency access easement in and out of Parcel 12. Tract A is that emergency access easement. Thank you for listening. I get a little wound up, but if you've seen any of my videos, you understand why. But this is the 1-2 punch that got me kicked out of the HOA 7 years ago. Okay? Charlie Waters went in and said a bunch of lies. They gave him immunity. He didn't have to get on camera. And then they sent the policeman out to me. I'm not a legal expert, but that day would I have had the legal right to ask that policeman to step off my property? Please get off my property. You don't have any paperwork with you. You don't have anything with you from a police, from a judge or a court please get off my property. All right? I wonder how that would have went in. As far as I'm concerned, Ali was probably a couple hundred yards away out of sight in another car, waiting for me to blow up on this cop so he could rush in and save him. Things like that happen to your mind when people are constantly lying about you and assassinating your character. What I am is very upfront. I want Tract A open. I want to be able to use it for its highest and best use. I don't like it being restricted. I don't like it redlined. I don't like it taken out of service. I don't like the people who live on each side of it being made hierarchy, the top of the pecking order or the top of the pyramid. All right? They have something that I'm paying for. Okay? I pay for that. I pay to have it. The taxes are free on it. I pay to have it landscaped and I pay to have it watered. I'd like the use of it. And for you to turn your blind eye to the fact that we need an emergency ingress and egress out of Parcel 12, we're the only parcel in Sundance Active Adult that doesn't have an emergency ingress and egress. It was taken out of service 7 years ago. About 2 weeks before I got kicked out of the HOA. And why'd I get kicked out? Because I didn't agree with their policy. Thank you very much. If you're still with me, thank you.